Hello everyone, this is DavidViadel23 and welcome to the Mandragons Cave. Today we are going to be talking about One Piece chapter 1183. Oh my god. So as predicted many times here in the channel, I mentioned that we are going to be seeing second flashbacks of all the Straw Hats. We have seen something about Sanji already, something about Robin as well. We have seen as well, Luffy's second, let's say, flashback with Sabo as well and Ace. So we are learning more and more about the Straw Hats. What I always said is that we will leave Nami for the very last one because she is connected, blood related to Imu. But now is the turn of Brook. I absolutely love it. It got me by surprise. Okay, we have this area more or less to draw a young Brook. I'm gonna go for the mechanical pencil today because it's thinner in tip and I think we can add more details. So in all this area I need to situate Brook here in tiny, and then it's gonna be like in the drawing. So I wanna analyze a little bit the episode, talk a little bit about everything, but do more emphasis in Brook, okay? So we start the chapter with the title called Good Morning Mermaid. We don't have a cover story, that means we are gonna have some sort of color spread or some nice design that Oda has done for us to be able to understand the color scheme more from Elbaf. Probably that's what normally happens when we don't have a proper cover. Okay, so Imu is talking, is fighting still with Ragnir the Hammer and Loki the Nidhogg. Okay, so there's a little bit of confusion here at the beginning. There's a mention of someone called Nushia. Is calling Ragnir. Nushia had long been waiting for revenge upon Mu, blah blah blah. So basically this is referring to Imu himself. Okay, this Nushia may be another way of calling himself in third person all the time, because obviously we are talking about gods, we are talking about extrapolating the concept of someone else. Like I'm talking in third person about myself because I love myself so much, or because I'm able to disassociate or something like this. Like I think Oda wants to kind of portray in Imu the concept of otherworldly and third person. So it's interesting. It's confusing as well because you don't normally see anyone talking like this in One Piece or in normal series or in normal circumstances. So sometimes the translation and what we understand is a little bit different from what Oda intends, because obviously we don't yet speak Japanese. Okay, so the face-off continues. Imu is mentioning Straw Hat Luffy by name. So we know we had a face-off already with Egghead, with the Gorosei and everything, and they are aware of Luffy. We know because it's year 5, because the sun got Nika and everything, they are absolutely aware of Luffy. But I wouldn't expect Imu to call Luffy by his name. Always, we're always talking about gods, about Nika, even Joy Boy here, but I think the concept of calling him by his name is gonna ground the moment, the concept of seeing Luffy face to face and having to exchange a couple of blows, a couple of punches. I don't want Luffy versus Imu. I prefer what we are seeing now, and then that Imu has to return forcefully to Marejua, to Pangea, because the situation in Pangea, in Marejua, is going crazy, and they can't defend from the attack from the revolutionaries or the involvement with Blackbeard and everything that is happening at the moment there. They can't defend themselves, and Imu is forced to go back. Like bigger things with more important repercussions may happen if Imu doesn't return. So we need to remember as well that Imu is somehow sick. We see Imu spitting blood when arriving here because he's using a lot of power. We know as well that Gunko seems to be some sort of vessel, like in Naruto, obviously, so maybe this body is reaching to the limit and Imu needs a new body, like the story with Orochimaru in Naruto. I like it, I find it interesting, and that could be the perfect excuse so the battle or the fight here, it doesn't finish, okay? We kind of postpone it for later. I am of the mind where I would prefer Luffy having to do some sort of alliance, partnership with Blackbeard to defeat the world government, because both of the characters are heavily affected by previous situations, things that happened in the past. So I want to see that, like Luffy is, you know, most of the time having to ally himself with Buggy, with Crocodile, with, you know, enemies that have been important bosses, important fights for Luffy. He had to fight together alongside with them, even if later they done other things or they become again bad, let's say. But there's been moments where we have seen this. I always been very vocal about Blackbeard in the sense of the problem with Ace, okay, and Ace's death and everything. Like Ace is portrayed in the flashback as someone who is not gonna back up from a fight, and he is chasing Blackbeard, he is hunting Blackbeard. Obviously Blackbeard, when they meet in Banaro Island, Blackbeard offers him to join my crew. I'm looking for Straw Hat Luffy, blah blah blah. And obviously Ace says no way, and they start fighting. So, like Roger, they are not gonna back out from a fight. They wanna be on the front line fighting. This is the issue that brings him to death as well, because at the end of Marineford, when he is saved, they were escaping already, and Akainu started, you know, saying bad things about Whitebeard, and then Ace turned around and started, you know, this fight that he could have escaped. So this is the way that Ace decided to live his life. And this is a sentence that Luffy says as well a couple of times, and speaking with Zorro about if we are gonna go and help this person or this other person, Luffy doesn't want to intervene in a way that forcefully he's gonna bother the story of someone else, in this case, Ace. At the end, obviously, he goes to help him, to save him, but Ace chose his way there. So I think when we see a proper Luffy versus Blackbeard, I will say in a Davy back fight, but when we see a proper fight there, I think there needs to be a realization from the pirate point of view that Luffy cannot be upset with Blackbeard. Blackbeard played his cards, Ace went into the game, and because of this, Ace ended up dying because his pride at the end of the day, okay? Because he could have escaped multiple times, but he said, no, I'm gonna stay, I'm gonna stand my ground, and I'm gonna fight. So that's something I always thought since day one watching One Piece, and that's something that, in my opinion, when we have these two characters, we need to be aware of, yeah, they may be upset with each other, Luffy can have this kind of resentment and everything, but the partnership, the alliance, it is gonna happen, in my opinion, and we need to mentalize ourselves, that because, you know, it can be one of those shocking situations where, oh, how can this guy be now allying with this other guy after all the things that happen, but for me, it's quite possible. Okay, so we don't go off topic, we carry on with Imu and Loki keep fighting. You know, there's thunder coming from the sky, Imu protecting himself or herself because it's very androgynous, with, you know, this kind of spear that he has, this kind of Vicento that he is wielding like Shirohige. We have Sasa around capturing the Keech as well. It's raining because, you know, the god of rain and this power that Sasa has. Sasa is just in this situation a representation of the god, is a dream, is a nightmare created by killing him. So this is not gonna be the final design for Sasa. When we see Sasa, whoever is gonna be the person, in my opinion, or Bibi or Dragon, I'm gonna put my previous video here so we can talk about that. We will see the proper design, okay? Like when it's, let's say, released, liberated, or when it's kind of showcased, we will see the proper design. The parents are obviously waking up because they were absolutely destroyed. They were having some blood transfusion that Chopper was there trying to save their lives, but as soon as the kids are captured by Sasha, all of them, especially Column's mom, stands up and they start fighting. Powerless, because they cannot do anything about a titanic power like this, but yeah, Sanji is arriving as well to the scene, so probably going forward we have a little bit of Sanji trying to attack Sasha, but nothing is gonna affect Sasha because it's an element, not a power as such, but just water. So I think we need to have Jinbei here to be able to redirect this water, and we need to have maybe someone who is able to control some sort of weather, like Nami, to be able to rain or put some thunder on the monster or something, okay? And Sanji is gonna focus in killing them, in my opinion. Then we go into the interesting parts of this episode. So the ice cube where Gunko is frozen inside is coming into view. We have a reminder that she is actually there, okay? And they are talking about, Usopp is asking many questions. Obviously, Usopp and Brook are, half destroyed as well on the floor, recovering because, they were recently attacked by Imu as well. The first one's been attacked by Imu. And they are chilling, they are talking, and the rest of the guys are there. Jinbei is there, Nami is there as well. And they're asking about that girl. Who is that girl there? You recognize her. We should decide what are we going to do with her, or if we keep her alive, or if we eliminate her. So Jinbei is kind of suggesting these things as well. So basically, Brook is saying this cannot be real. So this girl, obviously, is someone that I know, and if she's alive now, she should be around 77 years old. We had some hints because there was this mini flashback, these scenes where Brook was father with the Gunko and everything, and we were a little bit like, is he gonna be the father? Is he gonna be the protector? Ages ago, when he was introduced to Luffy as formally to request access to the crew to become a Straw Hat, he says that he was captain of a convoy, of a leader of ships. So basically, at that point, we know that Brook comes from a random kingdom. He had a very good position there, probably at the level of Igaram, Chaka, Pell in the kingdom of Arabasta as well. So we knew all these things. Because his style in clothing as well, we knew he must have been some sort of nobleman or come from rich, because the elegance that he has and the stance that he has and the way of fighting with his sword, very elegantly as well. His swordsmanship is very interesting as well, and very classy and very like musketeer as well. So all these things are now starting to be revealed. So Brook is confirming these things, that yes, this is the girl I know, and before she was frozen, because we don't know actually how they ended up freed from Gunko's power. So it happens that she actually, before she was frozen, she saved them. She actually released them. She recognized Brook. She's having this kind of ins and outs from this mind control. So they kind of deduct that there are multiple Gunkos. There's a Gunko that is able to recognize Brook, there's the Gunko that is completely evil, and there's the Gunko that is being controlled. So something is happening here, and I like how it's been done in the terms of Brook. I did not expect we will have this chunk of information now, and I love it, I have to say. Okay, so the concept of this is... and the idea of this is for us to be led into a flashback, an unexpected flashback of Brook. Brook in his youth. Brook looking like this, looking still like a normal person. A couple of things before we kind of go through the pages, because it is very dense, I would say. We're gonna have this flashback, okay, yes, I like it. But what are the implications of this? The implications of this are, we need to see, first of all, how he's gonna get the fruit. Originally in his flashback, we don't see him eating the fruit when he's gonna die with his, nakamas and everyone there. They say, oh, Brook, that fruit that you ate some time ago, you think it's gonna be, effective, it's gonna work, and they are like, well, soon we will know, no? Because all of us, we are gonna die now. So, interesting. So, we should be able to see that happening. We should be able to see how Brook is gonna get the fruit in this flashback, okay? We should be able as well to see how, because if you notice the design, there is no scar on his head. We should be able here as well to see how he is gonna get the scar, okay? The scar is Brook's trademark. He kept the dial with the songs from his guys, from his nakamas there, and it is something very character design, okay? Like with Luffy's scar in the eye, with Zoro's 3 swords, like with the afro here in this case. We need to see how that's gonna happen. So what I suspect, it is gonna be a short flashback where we're gonna see a couple of situations, important situations in Brook's life happening, and quick, in the way that everything that is going to happen to this kingdom of Esperia that has been revealed now, the kingdom with musical instruments, everything is going to happen in Esperia, that it's confirmed in the first image of the kingdom that the kingdom doesn't exist anymore. It's going to be quite quick, okay? I do not discard the idea of maybe this kingdom being, being in a situation where we have a God Valley type of event where they need to basically hunt everyone and destroy everyone. I think that's what's going to happen. We need to remember as well that after Brook held this position, because he wanted to, not because he was, obliged to. He decided to become a pirate because that was his dream. We understand that as well from the flashback, this mini flashback, this couple of images where Brook is seen with Gunko and all of these things that we were, everyone speculating what was that gonna be. I like all of those things. I want to know all of those things. This is the One Piece lore. This is my favorite part of One Piece, where we learn about the past, when we learn about the lore, where we learn about why these guys do what they do. Okay? What is the situation putting them in the present time? Okay? So, Brook is singing and singing. Apparently, everyone is complaining. He sings very nicely, to be honest, but in some of the text gives us to understand that this singing, maybe at that point he wasn't that good. Okay, so there is a very nice image while he's jumping around and singing and dancing and everything. That the drawing is pretty similar to the Sun God Nika, so we need to kind of picture Brook in a different light from now on, because I think this drawing is important. I think this drawing, Oda is not gonna go for something so representative of Nika if it wasn't connected to something else. And I think this is the concept of Nika. I think this is the concept of Sun God. This is the concept of music. With the music, when Luffy transforms and comes as, the Nika character, the drums of liberation are, sounding, We have music around, we have the posing, the dancing, and Brook is doing that. So Brook may be some sort of conduit, like music was always gonna be connected to that story. At the beginning of One Piece as well, we have Luffy asking for the first character, the first colleague that he wants in his crew. Since day one, he always says he's gonna be a musician, okay? So I find that very interesting as well in terms of this connection with the drawing and the posing, okay? So his guys, his subordinates in this situation, because Brook is the boss, basically, he's the captain there, are in love, they are fans of him, they are very happy with his music, and we see him walking in the gardens of this palace, in this probably a castle, very elegantly as well, with his, you know, cloak that we're gonna draw now here as well, like this. I think I'm gonna draw him with longer legs, even if we go outside of the frame, because it adds to the caricature, it adds to the Brook character. In the drawing as well that we see in the episode, Brook is drawn as in perspective from the bottom, like we are, let's say, sitting in front of him, recording him with the camera. So that's why we see a little bit of perspective, and that's why the feet is larger as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna straighten him up, I'm gonna make him standing like this, okay, and do the leg like this, and then the arm like this. I am not gonna be drawing Gunko. We can leave Gunko if we want to talk more about her for another let's say chapter of our One Piece discussions, but for now it's gonna be just Brook, okay, like this, the hand here, and maybe the sword should go a little bit lower if we're gonna do this. Let's change this quick. So the sword should be maybe then here, let's say, maybe, and we have this, and the fingers like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and is touching here on the side for the coat, okay? It has this kind of lordly type of shoulder pieces as well, like he is, you know, a cavalier. Very nice. I love the design. I wasn't expecting to see him looking like this. Obviously, the only image from the flashback from the anime that we have of Brook, it is like more older man there, and I like what Oda has done here with the eyes. If you check Brook's skull, he has very prominent cheekbones here, okay, in this area, that they obviously connect with the sockets for the eyes, making the skull design very recognizable. The One Piece skull, very recognizable. What Oda has done here when drawing a young Brook, the image that we are drawing now, he has gone for the design choice of adding these tiny lines there as well, so we see how that is Brook on his face, because it adjusts that little part that to the skull, basically, okay? So I like that part. Let's create this kind of swirls or I don't know, some sort of positioners. I don't know what is this, like this seems like to be like a long boot, like we see with some of the God's Knights design the outfits as well. A lot of people were speculating, oh, Brook is gonna be a God Knight or connected to a God Knight. I never thought that he would be someone like that, because, you know, he's strong, but not that strong. Something important as well is inflation, you know, in money. When we meet Dory and Brogy, that they were 100 million at the point, that was 100 years ago, we need to calculate inflation. So what is the equivalent of those 100 million to nowadays in One Piece? And I think they were around 1.2 billion or 1.5 billion. So they had, at the time, a crazy amount of wanted poster, wanted rewarder, okay? With Brook is the same, okay? Like 50 years ago, 60 years ago, that all of this happens when he died, etc., etc. He basically had a wanted poster of 30 million. 30 million. When we meet him, if we meet him on the day, that 30 million is a lot, because nowadays that would be, let's obviously suppose, more or less around 300 million of nowadays One Piece, or 400 million of nowadays One Piece. So if you think about it, Brook was a big deal, and to become leader of a convoy, or leader of a convoy party or fleet of ships, you need to be strong, okay? And there are situations like in the Marines that they put like a very silly guy. Brook is very silly, yes, but in the concept of fighting, we have seen him doing very epic things, not being afraid of anyone. He faces Big Mom several times, and he gets what he wants from that situation. So he showcases determination of a leader, you know, someone who now we confirm and we see that it was at this status, okay, a leader status, and that is absolutely epic. So very long episode as well. I thought this would be the last image, but it carries on, you know. Gunko is talking with Brook. Brook here is 20 years old, he's pretty young, okay, around Luffy's age more or less, and we have a Shuri age 7 here, and you know, Brook is basically joking, you know, that he's pretty similar to Sanji in terms of girls, and he's, oh my god, he's in love with the mother of Gunko, and that's the queen of Esperia. And then the father is there, you know, cutting some bushes, you know, doing some gardening outside, and you know, he's like, oh, you know, death penalty if you wanna do these things, you know, he's joking with him, but you know, because that's his wife. But there is this kind of friendship as well between them, because obviously in other circumstances, if you talk some of these comments to your king, you're gonna end up dead, most probably. So there is this kind of, I would say, friendship among between them. Brook as well is saying that, oh, yeah, I'm not gonna go against you, I will wait until you die naturally, and when you die naturally, then I can take your wife. That is a very weird thing to say, a very weird move. We know that Brook is a little bit too much sometimes, for my liking as well, with Sanji, a little bit too much with all these things about the girls. I didn't like much this part. I guess Oda has done it in the way of making Brook look respectable within the concept of what he's saying about, you know, stealing someone else's wife. But I didn't like much that comment, so I'm just gonna kind of ignore a little bit this part. So Gunko herself is saying, you know, don't worry, I will marry you, blah blah blah, and you know, Gunko is a little bit, you know, infatuated. Sometimes these things happen that, you know, kids or, you know, young teenagers, they will say, oh, you know, I love this adult, or I love this, but you know, this is just kids talking, and obviously Brook is like, oh no way, you know, not interested in kids, you know, I want the woman. So we see like the king is gonna try to attack Brook by surprise in an upset way, but I think all of this is game, you know. Brook is very fast. We know that he's very fast, but he is actually very fast. Again, reinforcing the idea of Nika. We have Gunko laughing crazy, uncontrollably in the Nika pose that we are seeing Luffy doing all the time. Again, very interesting how the music is, the laughter is all the time connected to Nika, and how maybe characters like this are the ones carrying the wheel of Nika. Like we have seen all of these parallelism with Luffy when the concept of D, okay, when we have the concept of D in One Piece, there's always this mention of, you know, they are carrying the wheel of the D. And then let's do the eyes 1 second. And then there's gotta be other type of wheels, the wheel of Davy Jones, the wheel of Imu, the wheel of many kind of characters that are of legend, basically. Let's do the nose and the mouth. Okay, like this, and the teeth. So I find it interesting, I like it, and we need to, for what I understand here, we need to save Gunko. If Gunko doesn't get saved completely, like we're gonna take her to another place, we're gonna take her out of the grasps of the bad guys here and keep her with us, like we have done in the previous saga with, you know, with Bonnie, with Lilith, and with many other characters we do all the time. What I think may happen when we come back is that Gunko will need to sacrifice herself, so she needs to die in front of all of us for the Straw Hats to... I don't think they want to escape, they are going to escape again, but, you know, that's what I mean. So Gunko sacrificing herself so they can actually carry on with their journey, like Pedro, basically. And this will affect, because Brook is a very tragic character, he found now a nakama, a friend, a daughter, let's say, because she's been treated like a daughter, that he wasn't expecting, and Brook needs to keep being the dramatic character. So whatever is gonna happen here, we may cry with Gunko, we may see how she jumps in front of an attack or something to save Brook. A Brook that, you know, cannot die because he has this power of the underworld, and he cannot die as far as we know. I have this very nice theory about Brook that I'm going to be putting here. And in that theory about Brook, I am basically explaining how Brook, immortality, revival, the concept of surviving, the concept of telling stories, after everything is done, maybe going pub to pub, telling the stories of Luffy and the adventures of the Straw Hats. At the same time as well, giving options on how there is a possibility where we have the immortality surgery done by law to Brook, so Brook can actually die. After all this suffering, Brook has the chance to die and leave this world together with all his nakamas from nowadays and meet his people, like if Gunko is gonna die, Captain Yorkie, and all the rest of the guys. I think there is a lot of chance for that to happen. If not, Brook is bound to staying behind, sadly, singing the stories of Luffy. For him, it will be something, I mean, he's used to it already, but again, the drama, the sadness, the kind of problematic that is giving us in regarding of, you know, you as a fan of One Piece, you will think, man, Brook, you know, is cursed, actually, the Akuma no Mi, the devil, you know, and that is very sad. But there are multiple options that can happen there, all of them very interesting, in my opinion. I want to know, what do you think is going to happen with Brook at the end of the story? Put it in the show more section so we can create a little bit of conversation there, an open chat, so we can unravel things about this incredible story. I cannot wait to learn more about Brook, more about this flashback. We are gonna go full on. Unexpectedly, as I said, we're gonna abandon Elbaf for a bit, like we did with the God Valley incident, and we are gonna be following now whatever is gonna happen with Brook and Gunko and the Kingdom and the Queen, because the Queen is gonna be showing in a second. But yeah, very interesting, very interesting. Tell me as well what you think about this unexpected reveal, okay? So, we carry on. Someone arrives to report, one of the soldiers, to report to the king and to Brook that a gang of bad guys has, the gang of cavalry, Murong gang, has arrived in town. They landed, you know, they arrived with the ship, with the boat, pirates, but like mafia, and they are looking forward to find and take and kidnap the queen, okay? The queen is at the opera All of this obviously in this Esperia territory, very musical, very elegant. I've been to many concerts, to many operas and things, and I think Oda made nice backgrounds representing this classy style, okay, this old school style. I like it. So this cavalry is riding towards the opera. We see the bad guys, how they look. They remind me a mix between Capone Veggie, a little bit as well of Pedro in the outfit of that saga with the Big Mom pirates. It reminds me as well a little bit to I don't know why, to Roshio and the guys from the flashback with Ace and Sabo. I like it. A little bit of Air, of Crocodile as well. So they are kind of mafia guys, like a gang. We see as well a very nice design of the queen, okay? And you see the bottom of the face, the hair on the face, you know, the lips as well, like Brook's lips as well. And it reminds me as well to Cavendish, so do not discard the idea of Cavendish maybe being some sort of descendant of these people, this family, or this kingdom, okay? Even if we know, because we drawn Cavendish here as well the other day, and we were talking about Hakuba, do not discard the idea of these two families, let's say, be connected somehow, okay? I don't think it's relevant for the story. I don't think we need to connect them or anything, but it always can be, okay? And it can be very, very interesting. So we're gonna do here, we set this. It needs to have a little bit of dark inside, and the handle of the sword is gonna be like this. And like all of the God's Knights, or all of the classy type of pirates that we've seen around, that they have these kind of swords, okay? We do the design for the shirt as well. And we need to do the other side. Let's not forget about the other side, okay? It's a little bit more open here. And then the trousers that I decided to do a little bit longer to follow more in the slender type of design that Brook always had, okay? So probably I'm gonna run these boots, I think it's some sort of very tall boots, all the way down, and I'm gonna move this to here, and then we're gonna make the boot like this. I love the outfit. This guy looks pretty epic, to be honest, here. Like this, the boot design, and in a moment we are gonna, I need to put this a little bit more down, like this. In a moment we are gonna start doing all the design for the cape as well, okay? So the bad guys arrived to the opera. They are riding zebras. I love Oda's choices when animals are around. All the designs for the animals are incredible, and these ideas of, you know, this guy is gonna ride a hippopotamus like Wapol, these ones are gonna be riding zebras, you know. I absolutely love it. The creativity and why not, you know, that concept of why not, why is this guy not gonna be riding a zebra, you know? I think as well this may be at game in the sense of the outfits, the suits that the mafia caricatures that he's drawing are wearing, the stripe type of suit that we have with Capone, with Gotti, with, you know, with all those guys, and now with these ones as well. And well, if the guys are gonna be wearing striped suits, why not the horses too? And we make them zebras. Very nice, very interesting, and very creative. I absolutely love these design choices from Oda. Let's do the fingers here, the hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And now here for the arm, it is gonna be behind the sheath here. And let's do this kind of flowery type of design for the shirt, okay, that he's wearing as well. All of this is gonna be black later, and we open down to do the cape. because this is like some sort of a cape, okay, like a cloak. Let's do this as well. Again, the sword type of sword that he is wielding here is not the same type of sword that we are used to see him, okay? It's more some fencing type of sword, the one that we have before, and the style of a sword inside a cane, hidden blade, something that as well in classic history it used to be happening all the time. Daggers, swords hidden in batons, in walking sticks, in other pieces of furniture, for example inside a chair, for example, or guns. They used to be as well in swords, encrusted in swords, camouflaged as well. So that is very clever way of using all of this. I think for now, while he is a member of this royal family, let's say, he is the boss here, you know, the leader of the convoy, captain, it is the royal escort corps, special ops basically. So he's special ops. So we have him wearing this nicer, more elegant type of outfit, but when he decides to go for the pirate life, for the merry life, he changes this to having the baton, the hidden blade, the blade that it was unseen for the enemy. Instead of showcasing that, oh my god, look how good I am, look at my expensive nice sword. No, I'm just gonna be wearing my baton, my hat, my things. I'm missing the hat. I would have loved to see the hat. The concept of hats as well is very important. We're talking about classicism. The hats couldn't be worn all the time, or when you were going inside you had to take it off, etc, etc. So probably there is a reason why we don't see the hat here at the moment, okay? So the king is very worried, talking with Brook, and Brook is like, ha, no problem, she's not gonna be captured so easily, so she is super strong. And then and I wouldn't worry much because I saw them in the morning. And I'm thinking like, what do you mean? The first time I read this, it's like, what do you mean you've seen them in the morning and you did not stop them? Because you know them as a bad guys already, and you know what they want, okay? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he says, you know, they didn't even realize that they already caught them. This is absolutely crazy. Hanauta Seicho Yahatsugiri, that attack that he has when he steps, you know, steps in front of the enemy, walks a couple of steps, and then puts the sword in the scabbard, in the sheath, and he already caught them. Okay, so they've been caught without realizing. And then you are telling me that he has done this in the morning. In the morning. And they are being caught in the afternoon or hours later. That is absolutely crazy. So, another thought that I'm having here is Brook may be weaker now because he is a skeleton, okay? He died, obviously, he lost all his muscle and everything, all his skin, all his body is just bones. So a lot of strength, obviously, is in the muscles, and probably that's why we see Brook at the beginning, when we meet him, being weaker, because even if he's been running around, fighting some zombies for many years, etc., purifying zombies, he is, let's say, out of capacity, you know? He doesn't have, maybe he's at 10% of his real power. If he had a body, he would be much more stronger, I would say. It makes sense, okay? So I think this is the way that Oda has to tell us. This guy now is at full capacity at 20 years, 25 years, you know, I think is when Oda make his characters to reach their peak, their most perfect era, you know, when they are the strongest. And I like it. I like it because he made Brook available for a crew, talking about the Straw Hats, that wasn't that strong at the time, because if at that time you put a 300 million guy with us, we weren't at that point yet. We went to there later, okay, with the 300 millions, with the 500 millions, and then with the billion and everything, and the 3 billions. So I like this scale that he created, kind of going into. It's not power scaling, it's kind of containing Brook. Mentally he's the same man, okay? Strong, not able to back from a fight in the sense of I'm gonna fight Ryuma, yes, until I die, and then I'm gonna fight Big Mom until I die here, you know, or I die or I get whatever I need, but I'm not gonna back out from here. I like that concept as well. I see that difference in the body. I see this moment of the cuts of the Jahatsugiri. Oda is gonna do a couple of these more. Oda is gonna make Brook do, how I would say, some epic attacks, I would say, maybe a couple of epic attacks, and by doing that, he's gonna tell us, he's gonna give us the impression of, you know, this guy was very strong and now he's not that strong because he's only bones, you know, he got weakened, he survived, yes, but the drawback, you know, the problem, the issue with this is that obviously your power is capped maybe at 10% of what it used to be. Okay, so he keeps his speed, he keeps his lightness and everything, but maybe the brutality or the ferocity of the attacks are lower category now. I think that may be the point. So all the enemies fall. They have been defeated by Brook in the morning, but they fall in the afternoon. And then the queen shows up, Queen Candile. Candile is a fighter. Candile is a swordsman. Candile is the leader. So apart from being the queen, he is the leader of this squadron of men. Okay, and I love it. So Brook is the subordinate. Brook is the first in command. After this is like this woman is the captain, is the queen, and then after her, Brook is the leader of this corps, the royal escort corps. Okay, so I like the design. I like the elegance. It reminds me as well in Atlantis from Disney. We have as well the captain and there. Of the ship looking in this similar style, like very classic as well from, you know, piratey era as well, you know, all the floritunes that you see in the design, all the buttons, all these, you know, necklace pieces and everything, the boots, the high boots as well with similar design like we see in the God's Knights. I enjoyed this episode so much. I think I want to carry on with the black tone. Okay, for me Brook has this tone of outfit. I think we should keep a little bit of the original tones. Maybe I will add some purple here and there, but now I'm gonna focus in doing the black areas for the suit, because even if we see a different outfit, at least Oda should keep the color scheme. It's like Zorro is green, he's the green color. Oda is not gonna draw him now in red, because red is for Luffy, okay? So I think the same for Brook. If we have seen him with black tones in general, we have seen him as well with purples, with a little bit of yellows as well. Oda is gonna keep, well, or Toei, when they animate this, they are gonna keep this kind of design. Lately we have seen a lot of colorful design for characters, and that it's okay. For me it's a little bit too colorful. I always prefer the manga outfits, the manga design than the anime, but yeah, let's hopefully they don't go too much colorful with Brook in this design, because he looks epic. Okay, and if they're not gonna be black, keeping the color scheme, it will be paramount here. And maybe they are gonna go for a purple type of suit. That could be interesting as well. Even though Nico Robin is the color purple in the story, we have black and purple for Brook as well. Okay, so we need to do some shadowy lines for the cape here at the back, okay, on top of the sword, because the sword is as well covered by some shading here, okay, at the bottom. I want to know your opinion, if you are a fan of One Piece for, you know, ages like me, or if you have just started now, it doesn't matter, just I want to know what you think about this new possibility of information, having this upgraded, let's say, background on Brook. I still think we need to see as well the rest of the guys as well, okay? We need to go into the realm of having these short flashbacks of the secondary Straw Hats, Brook, Jinbei, Frankie. Okay, these guys are very cool, yes, but they are more adults. So the story, when we have a flashback and Oda wants to tell us the flashback, is because the character himself is caring about something. It's important for him, okay? The whole story about Laboon and Brook was very important for Brook at the point. And during all these years, obviously, because it has been, you know, many years ago, he thought all the people from his time were dead, apart from Laboon, because Laboon, yes, can live longer. But now, shockingly, we have the appearance of Gunko, this kind of problematic in Brook, in his mind about, oh, is this the girl I met once or no? And he cares. Why Zorro's lineage, the family tree, was revealed in a SBS? Why Frankie's information about his father, Cyan, that this is Queen from the Kaido's pirates, why that was revealed as well in SBS? Because they don't care. Zorro does not care about who were his parents. In terms of, you know, he is his own person, his own man. Emotional sometimes, yes, but he has strengthened himself in a way that he's his own man and he's gonna do whatever he needs to do. So it is not important for Zorro's development if his father was A, B, or C, or whoever. So we know that he comes, descends from Ryuma. He inherited, again, the inherited concept. He inherited this kind of battle fire that we had in Ryuma. But as well, he is descending from lords in Wano, and he does not care about that, okay? So we see this kind of characters that are more, I'm not saying mature, because it's not about mature, it's about the storyline. It is not necessary. Zorro is not gonna be, oh, my father, oh, my mother. Zorro is not like that. Brook is more emotional, so we need to see something now going on with Gunko, okay? I expect to see emotional things as well about Nami, about Brook, about Usopp as well, okay? I think Robin, she is a very emotional character as well, but for some things. The concept of family that she had before with Clover, with the mother, with Saul, that's the emotion with Robin, okay? But if you think about it, and we see now more flashback relating to Saul, because, you know, he survived, blah, 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 expect more reveals about more things relating to Straw Hats here, because this is very interesting, okay? So, Robin, for example, she may be that type of character as well, and we may see some interesting things relating her past. I think she already knows them. I think she already knows that her father is Dragon, and she's okay with it. She's not gonna say it because it's not important in the sense of, you know, she already grew up and she already had, you know, this kind of relation with Saul and then with Clover and then with all of these guys. She doesn't need a father at this point. She needed a father, you know, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But the concept of Luffy as well, being sister of Luffy, probably, it can be interesting. I don't think it's necessary because Luffy is not gonna treat her differently because she's a sister. No, she's gonna treat her same way because the concept of Nakama, okay? They are Nakama, all the same, no problem there. So I like the possibilities. I like the possibilities and the see how it's gonna be. Okay, so we're gonna do, you see, as I said, a little bit of purple there. Maybe we can do the scabbard here, the sheath as well in purple. Why not? Okay, we can do the lace here to attach this as well. I'm gonna go for gold for the shirt, very elegant. Probably I think it may be white originally. This definitely I want to leave white. The flowers, it will make sense that they contain all the colors that we are seeing here. Like, let's say a little bit of purple, a little bit of yellow, and I would dare to say, for the sake of contrast, a little bit of redness here as well. Okay, as well, and as well there. Okay, that is how I think may be the design for Brook. Okay, so now we need to add some black for the shadows. Okay, we need to paint a little bit here, the hand. Okay, looking very, very nice. I show you the whole design, Brook, full body. Okay, like this. And now, where is my Faber-Castell? Oh, maybe we can use the Caran d'Ache. Let me see what options do we have. Let's try to do with the Faber-Castell, okay? So, we need to create this line, okay? If you are here because the drawing and you want to see the drawings, doesn't matter what's the topic, but you just want to see the drawings, okay? I'm using this Faber-Castell on top of everything inside the cape, so it makes a little bit of shadow, okay, like this, you see? You can do a little bit more like this to create just this cartoony sense, okay? So this is white, but we have some textures, some tones there, okay? We need to not forget the tongue as well in red. That's gonna give a little bit of life to the character as well. I would say smiley, you know, like this. Okay. We have in Brook's design the signature of Blackbeard, Xebec, Buggy with the 3 lines, and Frankie as well, the 3 lines under the eyes. Okay. That is interesting as well. Obviously, we cannot connect everyone to Xebec, but Brook looks pretty similar to baby Blackbeard. I'm gonna put a drawing of baby Blackbeard here while I'm talking about God Valley, while I'm talking about fruits in that video. What are the fruits in God Valley? And why not? Why not give Brook more relevance in the story? Just because the eyes, just because the hair, this kind of afro hair that he has, it is exactly a design of baby Blackbeard. So why not are we gonna have Brook the Xebec? Why not? At that point in the story, why not have this kingdom eliminated by an accident, a competition like in God Valley, you know, happened? Because the end of the episode says at the time the kingdom was at peace. So imagine this rough type of king that's looking very rough, okay? Imagine if because of being like that, you know, the world government is gonna say, you know what, we're gonna pick this kingdom, or we're gonna take over this kingdom or destroy it, and we're gonna hand everyone there. Why not having Brook lose everything? The woman needs to die because the dramatism, okay, and the extreme sense of sadness that we need to have with Brook, it cannot change, okay? Brook's story is sad. Now it cannot be happy suddenly in 2026 because we are going to the end of the story. The story of Brook needs to keep us sad. So the king needs to die. Gunko needs to be taken for the God's Knights voluntarily or as some sort of sacrifice, like they say, if we don't take your daughter, we're gonna destroy you. And they take the daughter and they destroy you anyway. That's what I think is gonna happen. The games may happen here. Brook may try to stop them, fail dramatically, have to take some of his guys and join a pirate crew and become the Rumbar pirates with Jorki and everything. Maybe Jorki is around here as well, because Jorki and all of the guys are as well musicians. It makes sense that they were pirates roaming around, or pirates that they were behind when all of this is destroyed, like Mount Kolbo as well in the that's why I said to you it gives me vibes of Roshio and the rest of the guys. Roshio, no, yeah, the guys from the fire attack. It could be, now that I'm thinking about it, okay? So it could be that they end up destroyed. The kingdom is suffering these attacks, these kind of games, and in the aftermath is that there are fruits there as well as surprises, and Brook maybe eats one of these fruits, not knowing exactly the power if it will work or not. But knowing what type of fruit this is, because they should have knowledge, like Sanji with the book of the Akuma no Mi and everything, they should have knowledge of certain type of fruits, okay? So imagine if that's something that may happen, okay? And, I'm liking that. I'm liking that theory then. And then Jorki takes Brook in. They say, we saw you fighting bravely and everything. Gonna make you my first in command here in the ship. Come with us and follow your dream. Now your dream here as protector of this kingdom is over because, the 10 Ryobitos, the God's Knights have destroyed all of this. There are mentions of royalty, about, Marejua. There are implications with all of the design concepts of Brook knows everything, basically. Brook knows what's going on, and it will make it very meaningful for the story, to be honest. It will make it in a way that Brook's reason to be, reason to join, and reason to basically be so determined to achieve what he's trying to do with Luffy, it will be more important, more impactful for the story, I would say. So, just so kind of we recap for a second what I just suggested here in a lot of words. I am thinking about, because Brook's design of the face, the young face, maybe to be Brook the Xebec, be connected to Blackbeard, be maybe the father of Xebec, or the grandfather of Xebec, or whatever. And that can be one of the reasons, together with taking over the kingdom, for the games to happen here. That's why as well he had a wanted poster on his head, because they wanted to kill him. He was strong, but maybe that can be a theory as well. But the appearance is too similar, and because the eyes and the afro with the Blackbeard concept is so similar, I'm a little bit concerned of this. I know that everyone that is going to have the eyes like this now, or the afro, we're going to be connecting to this character or the other character, but I will not have like a, I wouldn't be adverse to it if it happens that for whatever reason, it is revealed that Brook is connected to Xebec, making Blackbeard his grandson. Something like that, okay? Or his great-grandson. And we learn about this. This will put a psychological pressure in Brook, in Luffy, and in everyone when they have to fight them. Obviously, they have to fight them at some point, but it could be very interesting, okay? Brook is always, and has always been, more than we think. And I like that as well. So there are multiple options there, all of them very interesting. I know this is very crazy, but just while drawing, while analyzing all the parts of the design and seeing this, I find it very, very interesting as a possibility, okay? So we are doing now the lips a little bit thicker. Like he has the lips like this. Okay, very nice. I think we finished the drawing for today. I'm just gonna do a little bit of floor here that you don't see because it's out of camera, but for me, for later, to take a nice picture, it's interesting. A little bit of shadow because he recovered the shadow at the end of the day. But nice episode, nice story, nice implications, and where are we going? Why is this important that Brook has this connection with this kingdom? Why is Gunko important? Why the kingdom is gonna be destroyed? Because it is gonna be destroyed. Why he's gonna be forced to become a pirate, even if it was his dream? Why he would not lose hopes? Why he would do the Nika pose? Why he will have Gunko laughing like Joy Boy, like Nika as well? Why? All of this is about hope. All of this is about going forward, and you know, it's like a circle basically that we are gonna go again to the fight with the gods and everything. So, if with some of our guys like Brook, for example, or any other character from the Straw Hats, we are gonna have some connections from the past as well and from the gods as well. Imagine if this is a Xebec character, a Bucaneer character as well. That makes the story even more interesting. That's gonna pump even more Brook's poster now in present time if that is revealed. Is that gonna be revealed to everyone, or is just gonna be something that Brook is gonna tell Usopp and Nami and Jinbei and Frankie, and it's gonna be kept for us only? We don't know, but it is cool. I like it. I want to know your opinion. Let's open conversation. Let's talk about it, okay? I enjoyed this episode like a kid. Absolutely love it. And the characters introduced in this story are incredibly cool. I like Gunko and I like both of the parents. The designs are very good. The style of the whole episode is drawn very pre-time skip style. The strokes of the lines are very harsh, very clean, and this is telling me that Oda had this particular part of the story planned for a very long time. I would even say sketched for a very long time and in one of his folders on his desk, because the type of drawing of the father is very appealing. How Brook looks and the pose is very appealing. Like maybe this is the original design that he made, and from here he was able to create the God's Knights afterwards, okay? So this is giving me pre-time skip vibes, and I absolutely love it. I'm gonna sign, and we finish for today, okay? I'm gonna sign here. This is DavidViadel23, DavidViadel23. You can say it as you want, and this is the Man-Dragon's Cave. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you like the conversation from today about Brook, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much. Bye.